The Right Side with Doug Billings.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show, The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you. Today on the program, this isn't about Minneapolis, all right? It's about what happens when the rule of law meets political resistance, because a nation that can't enforce its borders can't protect its citizens. It's that fundamental, and a republic that won't defend its laws won't remain one. It's that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, all of this, a deep dive into Minneapolis, to Minnesota, and the kook radical liberal fringe. The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today and this week, this month, so far this year in Minnesota, we're watching something unfold that goes far beyond one city and one operation or one political argument. We're watching a test of the American system itself. Because at its core, this isn't about protests, my friends. It isn't about optics. It isn't even about politics. It's about whether the laws of the United States are still allowed to be enforced without intimidation, without obstruction, and without political pressure. In Minneapolis, a federal immigration operation escalated into a deadly confrontation, and a 37-year-old man is dead, and the nation is once again arguing over the same fundamental question. Does the rule of law still mean something in America, or only when it's politically convenient? So let me slow it down here and look at the structure, not the spin. Federal immigration enforcement isn't a suggestion. It's not a preference. It's not a political choice that can be somehow voted away by a city council or pressured out of existence by a mob. It's federal law. And when federal agents enter a city to carry out that law, what's supposed to happen in a constitutional republic is simple. Local officials don't interfere. Activists don't obstruct. Political leaders don't undermine. Because the system only works when authority is legitimate and enforcement is allowed to function. What we're seeing, instead of all of that, is something very different. Federal agents carrying out lawful operations, local political leadership pushing back publicly, and activist networks mobilizing in the streets and online, and corporate and institutional voices calling for de-escalation instead of enforcement. Now, folks, that's not random. That's pressure applied from every direction, and pressure always has a purpose. Now, look at the messaging, okay? State leaders are calling for federal agents to scale back. Public statements frame enforcement itself as the problem. It's unbelievable. The focus shifts from what the law requires to how the law makes people feel. That's an important distinction, because once enforcement becomes optional, once laws become negotiable, based on public reaction or liberal ideology or any ideology. You no longer have a legal system, you have a popularity system. And popularity systems don't protect citizens. They protect whoever can generate the loudest response. And meanwhile, major institutions, corporate voices step in, urging calm. Not by reaffirming the law, mind you, but by asking everyone to simply lower the temperature. But here's the truth. Order doesn't come from asking enforcement to stand down. Order comes from making clear that the law still stands. Now we're seeing something even more concerning. Online calls for confrontation, language about resistance, rhetoric that frames federal law enforcement as enemies instead of public servants. I'm going to be absolutely clear, and there's no ambiguity here. The moment that people are encouraged to physically oppose law enforcement, the Republic is no longer debating policy. It's testing stability. That's how systems break, ladies and gentlemen. Not all at once, but with moments, and not dramatic ones, a slow normalization of the idea that laws only apply when you agree with them. You'll hear this framed as a clash of perspectives. One side says it's about community impact. The other says that it's about public safety. But the Constitution doesn't operate on perspectives. It operates on authority, on jurisdiction, on law. And federal government is explicitly granted power over immigration. States don't get to nullify that. Cities don't get to veto that. Crowds and mobs don't get to override that. That is not an ideology, ladies and gentlemen. That's basic American civics. Oh, but you wouldn't know that because the radical liberal agenda doesn't allow civics in the classroom. And when a nation forgets that difference, what replaces it isn't freedom, it's fragmentation. Part of the radical liberal goal and agenda for this country is division and fragmentation. This isn't about Minnesota. This is about whether America remains a country where laws are passed by representatives, enforced by legitimate authority, and upheld even when they are unpopular. Because the alternative isn't compassion. It isn't justice. It isn't progress. The alternative is selective enforcement, and selective enforcement is the fastest pathway to a two-tier system. One set of rules for those who comply, another for those who resist loudly enough. That doesn't lead to unity, ladies and gentlemen. It leads to permanent conflict. And here's the standard that this republic was built on. You can debate the law. You can challenge the law. You can work to change the law. But you don't get to block the law or threaten the law or physically confront the people tasked to enforcing the law. That's not activism. That is destabilization. And a nation can't draw that line. A nation that can't draw that line doesn't stay a nation for very long. This moment isn't just a headline. It is a mirror. It reflects what we believe about law, about authority, sovereignty, and the future of the American Republic itself. We'll keep breaking these moments right here on this program. I will do it for you, not through outrage, not through spin, but through the lens of constitutional order and national integrity. Please follow me where you're watching this. X, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. On YouTube, make sure you follow the channel at The Right Side Doug Billings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in this thing together. I want you to believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.